From the start of the flat turf season, I've been posting the selections to the free trainer systems I researched using the HorseRaceBase website. With the conclusion of that test, here are the full results. Two of the free trainers performed really well, while the less said about the other, the better. I'll start by looking at Richard Fahey. I've highlighted the winning bets in yellow. It was a slow start to the season, with no winners in the first week or so, and then G for Gabriel won odds of 10 to 1, with a Betfair SP of 14, so that's 13 to 1. About a week or so later, Defence Treaty came in at 20 to 1, a Betfair SP of 36, which was 35 to 1. And then Vintage Claret, who had been the first selection of the season, also popped in with a win. G for Gabriel then won again, and then when Kahunan won, the profit was up to 41.45 points. That was the high point for the system, and after that things dwindled somewhat. A couple of other wins, with Vintage Claret popping in again. And then on the last day of the month, it was good to see Yoshimi winning with a Betfair SP of 4.3, so that was just slightly less than SP. So overall, there was 49 bets, 9 of them won, given a strike rate of 18.4%. So EP profit, that was based on the odds available the evening before when I put the selections up on YouTube. That only made a profit of 1.58 points. SP was better than that, it made it 10.59, and Betfair SP did the best of all, at profit of 30.88 points. So it's quite interesting there that even though Richard Fahey is quite well known as a trainer that can get his horses out early in the season, they're still not that well fancied in the market, and so there's still profits to be had there. Next we look at David O'Meara. Not so good there. Took a very long time to find any winners whatsoever. Did come close. We had a second. There was a second there. There was a second here. Cometh the Man. 18 to 1. Paid a Betfair SP at 25.66, and that was nearly a winner there. But then it was the final week of the month where there was 2 winners, slightly improved on the losses that there had been. 3 of the selections I've highlighted in green. Now these are 3 selections that wouldn't have actually qualified under the system because there was non-runners in the race, so that actually took it below our minimum number of runners. But I put them on the video the night before, so I've included them here within the results. So of 39 bets, only 2 winners, of strike rate of 5.1%, and pretty big losses all the way across there. So not really a system worth backing again in future years. That's why it's important to do live testing on a system before you actually put it into effect. And the third one we looked at was Jer Lyons, and with him we looked at horses that are having their first run on a racecourse. So much less selections here. There was just the 9 bets, of which we had the 2 winners, with Party House winning at an SP of 10 to 1. And a Betfair SP of 17.84. That ensured a good profit based on Betfair SP. And you can see that Betfair SP returned at over double the profits that you would have had from SP or taking the prices the evening beforehand. So overall, a strike rate of 22.2%. Pretty good for that one. So definitely a trainer to keep an eye on when his horses are running for the first time. And don't forget, this is a system that will run throughout the whole year. It's not just confined to March and April. The great thing about HorseRaceBase is you don't actually need to record all your selections in a spreadsheet because it does it all for you. So if we pull up the first of the systems, the Richard Fahey one. We call the system. We click on stats. You can see it's recorded all this year's figures. The 9 wins from the 49 bets, the strike rate. The profit SP, that's slightly lower than what I was showing in the spreadsheet. That's because these are all 1-point bets, whereas when I was putting them up on YouTube, I was doing some of them at half points. And then the Betfair profits, again slightly less than what I showed on the spreadsheet for the same reason. And you can view all of your qualifiers, all the way from Vintage Claret, which was the first of the selections. It highlights the ones that won. It gives all the starting prices, the Betfair prices, and the Betfair place prices. And if you want, you can export them as either Excel or CSV files and import them into a spreadsheet for further analysis. So on the overview, if I remove the class settings, and if we look at the stats again, you see the profit and loss was slightly lower there. So having that class filter in there actually improved the performance, and it also improved the strike rate from 16% up to 18%. So that was a useful filter to include. And likewise, we can do the same with the David O'Meara. We had a lot more filters involved in this one. I'm going to click the stats. And again, it's showing the figures slightly worse, and that's because they're all done at 1-point bets rather than 0.5. I was doing 0.5 bets when there was 2 selections in a race, and also when it looked like the odds were going to be bigger prices. Again, looking at the qualifiers. So within this lot, it won't include the 3 that I put up that then subsequently didn't become qualifiers because of the number of runners in the race. And then finally the Lions one. As I mentioned, this is just for the first time runners. So if we look at the stats again for there, there's only been 9 bets so far, whereas other seasons there's been like 45, 46, up to around 50. And that's because this system's running throughout the season, it's not just for March and April. The current strike rate, 22%, is on par with other years. And the 11 points profit is looking good. If I go back to the overview, and we clear distance, a number of career runs. If we add back in just March and April, and then we look again at the stats. So there was a profit of 5 points there. So we've made more profit by just doing his horses on their first run than we would have done so far back in all of his selections during the months. Clearly there would have been a lot more bets, but less profit overall. There's a couple of issues that I brought up in my previous video about HorseRaceBase I'd like to quickly just cover here now. One of the things I found frustrating was that you weren't able to remember what filters you'd set up when creating a system. And subsequent to that, I found a way in which you can do it. So when I'm going to do a breakdown, at the top here I've actually specified a number of my favourite categories. So that makes it easy to select them rather than having to search down through the list and try and find all the ones that you want to use all the time. And the way in which you do that is go under My HRB, My Systems Builder Settings, and then you click on Favourite Categories, and you can include whichever categories you want and they get added to that box at the top. Once you've changed any you want, just go down to the bottom, click Save. And also under Systems Builder Settings, you can add a multi-breakdown category. So make sure you specify a name, and I'll just give this Test 1. And you can include up to 10 categories you can pull in all in one go. Just to illustrate that, if I select UK and Ireland, so race code, race class, number of runners, and say the horse's age, I then go down to the bottom and save that. Then when I'm testing my system, I want to add filters to it. If I click on breakdown, and I can just select Test 1, which I've just set up, and do recall there, and it instantly pulls those filters up. That's certainly a big time saving from what I'd spotted before. And one final thing I wanted to show as well is if I do the multi-breakdown, and say I had 2 categories, one being horse age, another being handicap or non-handicap. I proceed there. On the horse age breakdown, it only gives the ages down 2 to 7. So you might think, okay, looking at the results here, profit and loss, ages 5, 6 and 7 are all loss making, so I'll just restrict it to ages 3 and 4. But if I was to do that breakdown again, but only actually specify the horse's age, now, because there's just one category specified, there's actually results for horses age 8, 9 and 10 as well. And if we look at 8-year-olds, they actually made a profit of 21 points there. There was one winner from the 2 bet. And one of the points I made in the previous video was why they weren't included when you specify the multi-bet. And I actually contacted Chris from HorseRaceBase about this. And I'll put his reply up on the screen. So any of the selections where there's only 1 or 2 bets included within that criteria, they actually get excluded when it's a multi-breakdown. That's just to keep the number of calculations down. Chris says that if you'd like to include those within your bets, then you can contact him and he'll make a change behind the scenes for your membership.